Today is March 13th, 2015, and yesterday I talked a little bit about, I started talking about the government rapes of me, specifically some of the strategies that were used in getting a bunch of government families together to do that to me. And so I guess I will continue explaining. I explained what was happening, for example, at the Adams house. And another factor to that, aside from the fact that there's this psychologist, Dr. Adams, over in the Sherwood area, who had an office in Portland. It was pretty much right next door to the FBI offices. And aside from that, there was another Adams by the name of Officer Adams, who was with the state police. And she was part of programming me and showing up with a cop that had repeatedly harassed me. Like, he would follow me around and sexually harass me and then wait for me to get upset about it or to try to go to another side of the road. And then when if I tried to go to the other side of the road, he'd accuse me of trying to run away from an officer and looking guilty of doing something. And this was when I was a kid. So they started that when I was really young. I'd be walking along, minding my own business, basically. And this cop, Officer Wright, with the state police, would start following me. And he always did it at the same point. He always tried to elicit the same reaction. He did the exact same things that he did every time. And there had been programming of me to create some of the responses that I had. But on the other hand, some of my responses were just completely natural to what he was doing. And so he would sexually harass me, to yell things out of his car window, like out of his state patrol car window. And so then when he'd pull me over, they'd put up a rap about me, making me sound like I did something wrong. And the woman who was always coming to assist him, like as a backup cop, was this Officer Adams. And Officer Adams looked identical. I mean, really, just like Shannon Adams. You know, and Shannon Adams one day just suddenly had boobs. I mean, one day she was totally flat. I don't think her mom was very large-chested. But one day it was just like, and I kind of wondered, I mean, I wasn't sure, but I thought maybe she had breast surgery or something, which it doesn't matter. But if it's genetic, this other woman, the Officer Adams, who was always assisting Officer Wright, she also has huge boobs. I mean, like the same kind of boobs as that Shannon Adams ended up with. Which is, you know, it sounds kind of weird to try to describe, to try to put these people together because of their boobs, but but, you know, the other thing is that they had the same last name, and their faces looked exactly alike. And you know, I had been programmed and harassed by psychologist Adams, so here's this cop, this state cop, Adams, that was always showing up in Coquille. And so I think that there's a high chance that this Officer Adams is one of Shannon Adams. Shannon has some half-sisters, and I think that it's either a half-sister or maybe a full sister. But I'm pretty sure they're related. There's just too much of a genetic resemblance, and then the last name, of course. And so I had these rap sheets being made up about me, which was, you know, making me sound like I'm a criminal. So while these people were planning to rape me collectively, they were always looking for ways to set me up and also trying to program me so that they could figure out ways to have me appear to be doing something that was criminal. You know, if not some sort of small misdemeanor, something really huge. And the huge things never went to court. And I several times actually said, tried to challenge what they were doing to me, and said, I'd like to go to court, and I'd like to present this to a jury. But the one time that I'm kind of going on a tangent about this court stuff to then get back to how they were training me with this programming thing. But there were a couple of times where I didn't want to go to court because for good reasons. For example, the United States accused me of being Anna Chapman. Seriously. And actually, it's I should not even be smiling about it. Sometimes I smile, I think, or laugh just because it's crazy what they've done. What they have done is so crazy. I'm almost laughing at them, at some of the stunts they've pulled, because the things they got away with are really nuts. And then they've accused me of having a mental disorder, and I'm like one of the most sane individuals. I mean, I have my problems like anyone does, but and what are my problems? I'm not sure. I'm poor. That's a big problem. I'm blacklisted. That's also a big problem. And I don't necessarily fit into exactly what society or what these government people want of me. Maybe that's another problem. But for the most part, I'm pretty normal. And some of the things that these people have done is really crazy. Are crazy things. And so as I am leading into, one of the times that I have not wanted to go to court was when I was being accused of being Anna Chapman, because they accused me of espionage, and they didn't say Chapman. They called me Anna Horowitz. Basically, just called me Anna, and started accusing me of being a Russian spy, and they were actually very serious about it. And they did some videotaping of me that made it look like we're in a different framed and entrapment kind of scheme, which I can explain in a different kind of a clip series maybe. But they made me look like I was actually doing something on behalf of Russia or spying or something like that. And I picked the name Anna just randomly because for one of my names. As a kid, I was told to pick like legend names, cover names. And I had two. Like mainly there were two that I remember. One was Claire, and the other was Anna. I used Claire just in general and in Europe. And then I used Anna in Russia, and because I did go to Russia, but I wasn't a spy there. And then I used Anna in Russia mainly, because I had to pick I was given a temporary permit to stay there for humanitarian reasons. And I was told, choose a name where you'll blend in here and you can just kind of move about freely in society, and you'll be able to assimilate a little bit more so you're not so conspicuous or standing out. So I picked the name Anna, and then I came up with a last name for myself, but they didn't like it, so they said Horowitz. I didn't really like Horowitz so much. No offense to anybody who has that last name. But they really liked it, and so I ended up with the name Anna Horowitz, and on documents over there. So anyway, when I got back to the United States, I was being accused of being a spy, and of being this spy that someone had, I guess, tipped off another person about, that was possibly had the name Anna and was somewhere in the U.S. committing espionage, whatever the internal investigative story was, I don't know, but they picked me to be their scapegoat. And so what the U.S. was telling me is when I had one of my first daughters, when I was a teen, they were telling me, you better walk away from this. And this is after they tortured me and drugged me with like massive amounts of medications and drugs. And I was given electroshock treatments, and yes, it's real. People do electroshock still to this day, and they do it in Oregon. They did that to me, and this is in a state that's considered to be one of the more progressive states in the United States. And so they had done all kinds of horrible things to me, and to kidnap my baby from me. And then they said when I wanted to take it to federal court and go to a higher level, I was then told by the U.S. government, well, if you do, you might end up in prison. So that's your choice. If you end up in prison for life, you'll never see your baby anyway. So you could be in prison for life, or you can walk away from this. And I was asking, why would I be in prison for life? And that's impossible. And they said that we can try you for espionage as Anna. Anna. Using that name like that's my name. And they really believed it. They said, and I said, I'll ask for a jury. And they said, we have video that any jury would, and with we're the authorities, and you think that any jury is going to look at this video as like an entrapment video. And they said, you think any jury is going to watch this video and listen to the testimony of authorities who protect the public, quote unquote, and they're going to believe you? And they said they won't believe you. You'll be convicted of espionage, and you'll be in prison for life. And so they were telling me that if I tried to keep fighting for my daughter with appeals in court, they were going to put me in prison for life. So I couldn't do anything because for one thing, I was a kid. I was poor. I had no money. I didn't have a lawyer. And for another thing, I knew that the FBI did have this video, and I knew it was an entrapment thing. But how could I explain that to a jury when all of these cops and FBI were dirty? And CIA, who could just, there could be a whole bunch of CIA that they would hire basically to look like normal civilians and have them in court as jurists. I mean, the government can pretty much do whatever they want over here. It's just like any other government. It's just as corrupt as the U.S. accuses any other government of being. They can rig everything. If they want to put you in jail, they can get a jury tainted sufficiently with their own employees, make sure the judges and the lawyers are all involved. They have even your own defender acting like he's working for you and he's working for the other side and selecting jurists based on what the other side wants because they know how they can get the jury to vote. I mean, they will do anything, and I'd already seen some of that. So there was not one doubt in my mind. I didn't even have a slight reserve left to believe that I could have possibly won a trial against the United States to prove my innocence and that I was not Anna the Russian spy. So basically, the U.S. didn't even bring out their alternative Russian spy. It was Anna Chapman, and I don't have any hard feelings against her. But I've taken a few blows for her. She might want to feel thankful that she's not me, because her life has probably been a lot nicer than mine has been. And I wasn't just being accused, I was getting tortured. I was tortured in an FBI office one time with water and a sponge thing on my head and electrodes and a saline solution so that they could conduct their electricity more efficiently as they electrocuted me on a bed and interrogated me about being a spy. That was in Idaho. So, basically, the U.S. Was doing a lot of horrible things to me. And they were using this Officer Adams as, I have to do another video.